Good day everyone. My name is Ernita. I'm from Invasive Species Program in Sandy. And today I want to tell you about the management of the invasive cordgrass, Spartina alterniflora, in the Groot Brak estuary. And just some of the challenges that we've had over the last few months and years, and some of the progress to date. I'm sharing this presentation with my colleague David Harding from Invasive Plant Specialist as well. So I'll go through a part of the presentation and then David will take over from me after a couple of slides. Alright, so just to get us going, here's our friend, Spartina alterniflora. It's a type of cordgrass adapted to salt marshes and estuaries. It's native to the east coast of America, but it has invaded some of the salt marshes on the western side of the USA, as well as some spots in China and New Zealand. It was found spreading in the Groot Brak estuary in 2004, and this estuary is between Mossel Bay and George in the Western Cape. Sandy ISP became involved at an operational level in late 2012, and between when it was discovered in 2004 and 2012, we've been quite fortunate that the Nelson Mandela Metropolitan University did some baseline research. And they published this paper in 2012 on plant traits and spread of the species in the estuary. And just to emphasize that this paper has been very, very useful for us because it's provided us with a lot of the basic information that we're building on. Okay, so just to position us in South Africa, the yellow button is where the Groot Brak estuary is. And then just zooming in a bit into the estuary, the road you see up on the left top corner is the N2, and just to show you how the plant is distributed in the estuary, all the red patches are Spartina patches, and there are about 20 of them, but they have grown and shrunk as the plant has changed over time, the distribution. Okay, so why do we want to manage Spartina alterniflora? It forms dense, or can form dense monospecific stands, and it changes the sediment, causes sediment accumulation. And it causes a shift from an algal to a detritus-based food web because the underground biomass of the plant is so much greater than the above-ground biomass, about 5 times. Then there's a potential for the species to hybridize with the local Spartina maritima, so that's something that we should be worried about. And also the study by NMMU showed that if left unmanaged, the population in the Groot Brak estuary can spread at a rate of about 0.2 hectares per year, and that if it's left, it can eventually cover about 40% of the total estuary. We decided to try an eradication as our management goal, and we did this for several reasons. We've only found this one population so far, and it's less than a hectare in size. So, and how do we know there's only one population? So we've not found in other estuaries. We've surveyed 5 of the neighbouring estuaries. So far we think we haven't found it. There has been one false alarm in the Kierbo mosquito estuary a couple of months ago, but we did some quite extensive surveys to try and find it, but we couldn't find it. So and also we don't know of any reintroductions. It's not a commercially important species, or it's not popular ornamental or anything like that. So we don't think that we'll have a reintroduction problem, or we haven't noticed that yet. Also, there's good accessibility to the plant in the estuary. It's quite easy to just walk up to it during low tides. It's also easy to tell it apart from other estuarine species, so that's nice from an operations point of view and a control point of view. It has very low seed viability in the Groot Brak population, which is really great for us. So we only really have to worry about vegetative spread and not spread by seed. Then we've also been encouraged by results elsewhere, especially Washington State on the west coast of the US. They've had some very good results in suppressing their Spartina alterniflora populations. And then last but not least, we've got a supportive institution and funding, and we've got a fantastic residents association at the Groot Brak who are very supportive to our efforts. And then just to tie in with what I was saying now about what other estuaries have we checked. The little green dots are all the permanently open estuaries along our coast. I guess theoretically speaking, they're all vulnerable to Spartina invasion, and we should at least alert all of them. But as I mentioned, 5 of these have been thoroughly surveyed. and nothing was found. And again, the yellow button is the Spartina population. Then just in terms of how have we been treating, how have we been controlling this population, there are quite a few treatment options, and they're listed there. So one can go for mechanical removal approach, or foliar herbicide, or mowing and herbicide application, and mowing and immediate herbicide application. So we've done a bit of experimentation with some of those, and we found that foliar application is by far the most effective. And then just some challenges. You have to choose your time carefully. Low tides, stay away from rainy days when you're spraying herbicides. Choose days when your wind speed is very low for herbicide application. And then we can't work on this plant during winter because the estuary closes and the water levels rise and the plant gets submerged. And I put this photograph in just to show you that you can walk right up to the plant during low tide, but this is all underwater at high tide. So that it dictates the times that we can go and work on a plant. Then we manage our management plan. We do foliar sprays 3 times in a summer season, and we also have a monitoring plan which is based on the NMMU protocol which they came up with, and we do this twice a year, early spring and late autumn. And then just some of the early results from the study. And it shows you the number of live plants in the Spartina alterniflora population, in the total population. So number of plants on the left-hand side axis in millions, and time at the bottom, on the bottom axis. And it shows you also that in 2009, the very left-hand orange bar, that was monitoring done by NMMU, and then nothing happened for a few years, and then Sandy got involved and started with a bit more intensive treatment and monitoring exercise. And just to show you that the plants, the total plant population, live plants, have gone from about 1.7 million plants, and in April this year it's gone down to about 40,000. So we're making quite good progress. I don't know how this graph will look in the next few years, but it seems to be, what we're doing seems to work, so we'll carry on going. And just to show you in pictures how this has progressed. This is a picture taken in May 2009. It shows you really dense, vibrant stands of Spartina. This is taken in January 2013, still very dense, a little bit suppressed, but still quite dense and very healthy. And then this was taken in April this year, so we are making some pretty good progress, but you know, it's still early days. I'm going to hand over to David now.
Okay, good afternoon. Just a quick word to talk through this. So every presentation you've seen has had some sort of map on it. But a lot of the work we're doing, we can't use map the size for the simple reason that we're doing smaller populations. So I'll just use this 150,000 map as an example. If I try and zoom in, I can't really give an accurate outline of where my populations are. And unfortunately, the tool that everyone always goes back to is Google Earth. Slightly better, but the bottom here, the problem is, look at the date. That's taken almost a year ago, and that is the Groot Brak area. So taken a year ago, I can't monitor what I'm doing. If I want a picture now, I can't wait for Google to go and update. Also, that is the best resolution I can get. Should I try and zoom in anymore, it just becomes a complete blurry mess. So what options do we have? One option, a new technology we probably all should be embracing, is the unmanned vehicle, or the UAV. No, it is not illegal. Bad press, media hype. This was never illegal, perfectly legal to use. Just, okay, high press on that, but it is perfectly legal, and I can get pretty pictures. So that's roughly 30 meters above the ground. That is in Joburg, Cape Town. Just to make it more relevant to the talk, there we have the Spartina and the Groot Brak. And things I can do with this is I can start overlaying images. I can start stitching images. So there's my 150,000 with my Google map. And you can possibly just see my aerial photograph there. If I zoom in more, I can zoom in more. Look at the resolution I get. I can zoom in even more, and I can see actual individual plants. And this picture was taken 30 meters above, I think it's 50 meters above the ground. So I can get that's the resolution. And just to help Anita's work, we can compare quite nicely from the air, top January 2004, bottom May 2004, and you can quite clearly see where the control has happened, and she does seem to be doing a fairly decent job of controlling the Spartina there. That is the end. Any questions?
Thanks, Ernita and David. Any questions?
Hi David, I'm Ulrika from Cape Town EDR. Can we use those drones to find our EDR species in Cape Town and people's gardens? The big problem is we can't look over people's walls to see where what's growing. So
If you have their permission, you can. The problem with that little cable is if you use it for non-commercial purposes, they can't stop you taking pictures.
So to
You
fly
can just
over,
blow out their hand.
so to fly over and just take pictures of pampas grass and then go knocking on people's doors asking if they've got it and then get permission then.
If you have nice names, I don't see a problem with that. Legally, you can, just as long as you don't use it for commercial purposes. I'm sure if you tell them why you're doing it, they'll be quite happy to oblige you.
Marcus?
How do you geo-reference the images?
The vehicle does fly on GPS, so we can track it, fly the self on GPS, so we can go from that, or we can put ground control points and fly over them and then geo-reference them back on the maps.
It's easy to do.
That is very easy to do.
Clive?
Thanks. Can I ask Ernita very quickly, what was the herbicide that they used that was successful?
Sorry, where was the question from? Oh, there we go, okay. We're using Kilomax glyphosate, which is a systemic herbicide suited to aquatic systems.
Thank you.